Hello, everyone. Welcome out to the courtyard here at Bethany. Blessed to have you with me today. Fire department is going by, if you can hear them in the background. This week's gospel is actually one that I've always loved this gospel. I really have. It's been one of my favorites for years. It is Peter saying to Jesus, if you really are the Messiah, invite me out onto the water and have me walk to you, because Jesus is walking to them and they're not sure it's Jesus. Let me go through the whole story for you. Jesus is actually dismissing the crowds from the feeding of the 5,000. And if you remember from last week, part of this is that Jesus is grieving the death of John the Baptist. He tells the disciples, go on ahead in a boat. He dismisses the crowds that are there. And then he just starts to go up to a mountain to pray by himself. He wants that time alone. He still hasn't had it. He tried to get away and the crowds followed him. So now he finally has this time alone. So he spends an hour or two praying by himself, presumably about the loss of John the Baptist. In the meantime, the disciples are on the boat, and the boat starts to just drift out onto the lake, away from the shore. So when Jesus comes back, they're out a little ways. So Jesus actually just starts walking to them on the water. It's a very windy night, kind of stormy, blustery night. And Jesus is just walking to them on the water. And the disciples get terrified. It's a ghost. Of course, Jesus says, do not be afraid, it is I. That term, do not be afraid, we hear that over and over and over again throughout the Bible. Do not be afraid, it is I. And so Peter looks at him and goes, Lord, if it is you, invite me to come walking to you on the water. And Jesus says, okay, come. Sometimes I wonder if Peter meant it or what Peter's thought was when suddenly Jesus said, okay, come walking to me. So Peter actually gets to participate in the miracle. He steps out of the boat, takes a couple steps on the water, and then realizes where he is and what's going on, and he panics. And Jesus has to save him. I think we do that a lot, right? We're really excited about the call of the Lord to us to go do something. That call can be in ministry. It can be to serve different ways, different places, different things. I've had the opportunity to do rebuilds after disasters in various areas over the years. But the truth is, we get called in many different ways to do many different things. Serve meals to those who are food insecure, make quilts for those who are refugees throughout the world. We just find different ways to serve. Some of you serve as worship leaders during worship. And the fact is, we're excited. We're really excited when we have those opportunities to serve. But sometimes we also get a little bit overwhelmed in those moments. And I wonder often with Peter in this case, he had to be excited at first. I mean, this is a really cool thing. And then he got overwhelmed. But Jesus reaches out, grabs his hand, and I've got you. You've got this. You're good. You're safe. You're fine. That's a great reminder to us. Whenever we're in a calling, whenever it could be a new job, right? Actually, this is the perfect time for this, right? Because kids are going back to school. You've got kids that are starting new schools, kids that are in classrooms where they're not familiar with everybody, teachers who are starting in a new school or literally starting their career. You've got administrators, principals who are new to that position. A lot is new, and it can be overwhelming. It can be scary at times. And yet, Jesus always says to us, you're okay. I called you here. I called you here with purpose and intent. You've got this. You have nothing to be afraid of. I have your hand. Be not afraid. So we get called all the time, and sometimes we get overwhelmed. But know this, we do have the ability. That's why the Lord called us. And he always, always guides us and is always right there to grab our hand. So no matter what we're facing today, Jesus is here, ready to outstretch his hand and grab a hold of ours. What a beautiful thought. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Thanks be to God. Amen.